Sure.
I was there.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, can you say your name and your project for the
Yes,
reporters?
I am Mick Giacchino. I worked on the Penguin and Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Oh boy, this is a big one. Penguin was fantastic. Penguin was fantastic. The music is fantastic. Tell us about when you got this project, when you got your hands on the script, and you kind of saw what was ahead of you, because that show's incredible.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, I got to read the pilot, and the scene that stuck with me immediately was when Oz goes to visit his mother, and this dynamic that they have where it's sweet and it's horrifying, because she's like this supportive mother, but it's like, take over the city, you deserve this. And it was just, Lauren did such an amazing job of telling us, or showing us, why he is the way he is. And you, again, as the series goes on, you see how kind of complex their relationship is. You start to notice who he is truly as a person, and it really was able to flesh him out as a human being. A demented human being, but a human being nonetheless.
I think it's one of the most layered looks at a superhero villain of all time, really.
I completely agree.
It's in depth, it's rich, it's complicated, and it's sad.
Yeah, Lauren's a genius.
Yeah. So was that your assignment though? Was to like, let's make this complicated, emotional, and sad, and then violent?
Yeah, totally. I mean, starting from, the way I really started with the theme was, I was looking at Oz, and he's someone who wants to be ahead of where he is, and he wants to be seen as more. He sees himself as more than everyone else sees him as, and he wants money, he wants power, and so I immediately thought of like the elegance of a string quartet and how that's associated with high society, but he's not quite high society. He's still kind of city trash. He came from this poorer part of Gotham, and so underneath the string quartet, I created this trash can drum kit and kind of made of buckets and metal and to give the rhythm behind it, so it felt a little bit like a hustling, bustling city. And then married the two together into kind of this frenetic string quartet. But actually, the thing that really I started with was his limp. Was Oz's limp, and he's got this metal brace, and so one of the first things I thought about doing was the sound of a chain, kind of like he's dragging his foot along, and so that was really the starting point, and then I started adding from there.
It can also be a spur in a way. Right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Kind of coming into town.
Yeah, definitely.
That's amazing. I didn't even really, I never thought about it, but yeah, it's there. It's a constant presence, like almost like a hum in your ear, or like an annoyance.
Yeah, I very much tried to incorporate his limp musically into certain sequences and the theme as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's wild. Getting to read the first pilot, right, and having to create the music for the whole entire season, how far in advance did you know what was going to happen to Victor in the series?
I know, man. It was early on. I mean, he's just that actor. He's the absolute sweetest, and it was so depressing to watch him. Just to watch him meet his end, and when I talked to Lauren about working on that scene before I had started it, she was telling me about how she was in a really bad place when she wrote it. The editor was in a horrible place with a splitting headache when he was editing it, and she was like, it's we're not wanting to put you guys in these spaces, but like kind of like, this, like, you have to feel it. And so it really ultimately ended up becoming this one of the most simple scenes in the whole series musically. It's just really just a string sustain, and we tried a couple different versions of it when I was writing it, and we would review it, and it just ultimately kept getting stripped back until we found the version of it that worked, which was, again, really simplistic, and there's not a whole lot to it, just because it's just to so subtly highlight and not push this emotion of what's happening onto the viewer.
Right.
Can you kind of take us through the whole, the process of going through something like that? You have this really amazing scene. It's already filmed. I'm assuming it's already kind of cut, so like how it's going to look. Is there like a little committee, and you're like, give me something here, take away something there? Like, how does that scene finally get to us? Because it's an incredible scene. it stays with you. It stays.
Yeah. So I mean, we start off by talking about the scene and again, what the there's not much to miss in terms of subtext in this one. It's there's I mean it's because I think the part of it that's most heartbreaking to me, and that what Lauren and I talked about was, it's this kid who finally feels safe with someone after this tragedy that happens to his family. And he's found his new family, but that is the wrong thing to say to Oz, because again, someone who just went through this whole experience with his own family, with his mother, he realizes that as long as he has family, he can be hurt, and he does not want to be hurt. Being hurt will compromise him becoming what he wants to become, and what he feels like he needs to become. And so, those were a lot of the discussions, and. Then I would go off. I would write. I would and then come back and review with Matt Reeves and Lauren LaFranc, and they would give notes in terms of like, oh, I think it might be better if we come in on this line or this shot, and we would adjust kind of the ins and the outs of the cue, and really kind of massage it into fitting in. I mean, and again, we're taking everything into consideration: the dialogue, the sound effects. There's a lot of neck cracking and kind of bones, the suffocation sound design, which was really built up there, and so we really wanted that to be forward to really feel his pain.
Back to that scene, which is obviously just huge. How much of the music is there to kind of throw you off as to what his intentions are?
Well, so that was, I think, the hardest part was leading up to that sequence, because they had kind of a rough idea of what they wanted in the temp, and so we wanted it to feel sweet, kind of, but not too sweet, not too melancholic, not too over the top, but just ever so subtly. And if I remember correctly, I think it ended up being these two chords, just kind of alternating and very lightly, just to kind of like underscore the sweetness of what Victor's telling him, and help us think that that he's safe, and that he's like, oh my God, these two men, these two men, it's like, almost this like, this bromance over the course of the whole series of them coming together and finding each other, and and we didn't want to tip the hat of the moment where Oz, it's kind of like, oh, I wish you. I mean, in his mind, you can see in Colin's performance there's a moment where he's like, I wish you hadn't said that.
That's exactly what I got. Absolutely. Yeah. And so you actually did that to the actual music.
That was almost more important than what was over that scene. Than what was over when he starts strangling him itself, because again, it's so simple right there. But and we wanted to make sure that we weren't telegraphing what was about to happen, and just let it feel like this betrayal that happens on the flip of a switch.
It was kind of like a lullaby at first, and then all of a sudden,
exactly. Lull you into a false sense of security, and then Oz shows his true colors, which we should have seen coming. Exactly. And that was the other thing too, is that Lauren was like, obviously throughout the whole show, wanted to make him a human being, wanted to be something like there's elements of him that everyone can relate to. Everyone wants to be appreciated by by the people around you, and but she was like, I need him to be irredeemable. This needs to be a guy who is going to go up against Batman in the next movie, and again, we can't feel any sympathy for him.
All right, so you're the last person that has worked with Lauren, as well as presumably Matt Reeves, since you mentioned him. Is there any speculation out there that you might be working on Batman 2, or is that a hopeful thing?
That I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, I would absolutely love to see like all her characters and her be a part of that world and the film. I would love to see Sophia come back. But we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, working on a project like this and the secrecy of having to keep what you know a secret. How hard was it for you to not tell your friends how
incredibly
how
hard? I mean, like in my I would have friends over at my place, and I just knowing that in this other room, it's like, I've got this whole show here, and it's just like, you would yeah, it was difficult.
Yeah.
It was very difficult.
You worked on the Skeleton Crew. I
Yes, yeah. Speaking of even more secrecy, that they're under lock and key.
Did you have anything to do with that trailer that
No.
repurposed the song?
No, I didn't. But Matthew Wood, who is
Yeah, he's the voice of Grievous. And
voice
the
of
sound
Grievous,
guy.
incredible sound designer, big fan of his. He worked on the show, but he's also he's a really good singer. So he sang that, and he
Oh, in that-
they translated
Hatice, right?
yeah, into Hatice.
Major Tom.
Major Tom.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I had the chorus going in my head. But yeah, and so I didn't know that was happening until the trailer came out, and I saw this, and I was on a Zoom for the dub afterwards, and I was like, Matt, when are you releasing this? I need
It's
this whole,
great.
I need the whole track. I was like, and they did such an amazing job with that.
I think it's the best trailer Star Wars has ever
Yeah,
done. I mean,
it's so jarring for it in a good way, and I was like, and it works so well with the kids and the story and all that. So I just loved it.
Yeah. So you actually got to be a fan in that moment.
Oh, for
even though you
sure.
worked on the project.
Yeah.
This one was outside of your duties, but this was in.
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
great.
even just getting to work on the show itself too. Like during the last episode 8, when the pirates are chasing them, and there's these moments of heroism where the kids are finally kind of like coming into themselves and stepping up. Where I would just find myself giggling like at the screen and being like, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. This is so much fun. Yeah.
On a percentage wise, how much Goonies came into that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I watched it like right when I found out I was going to be working on it. I was watching it, and I actually was listening to the Fratelli chase, which is how the film opens. That was just definitely a big like jumping off point for the main theme, like just with the propulsiveness of it, and it obviously evolved from there. But I love that score. I love that score. Yeah. And the use of synth with blending the synths and orchestra. That Back to the Future, those were all.
Yeah, Star Wars gives you that. Like, let's put some lasers in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think we're.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, yeah, the music composer is nominated to an Emmy. So how does it feel that your work is being recognized in such? I mean, obviously you are not doing this to receiving awards, but how it is for you to get the recognition for such a big institutions and big.
I mean, obviously, like the statue itself would be such an honor. But I think for me, the thing that was most exciting was just the feeling of being recognized by your peers, because there's so many. I mean, I go through so many moments of self-doubt where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is like, this. Like, I don't know what's happening right now, and you just end up following your gut and trying to do your best. And again, obviously, like you said, it's not what you get into doing this for. You get into it because you love storytelling and you love music and you love film and TV, but it's definitely it's encouraging to be like, okay, you're doing like that. People see something in you that sometimes you don't see. And it's like, okay, let's keep going. But I mean, I'm sure every project I do, it feels like at the beginning I'm like, I have no idea how to do this. Like the blank page is one of the most terrifying things for me in this project, or in this world. But it's it's a huge honor, and just again, even to just be nominated among so many other talented composers is just so incredible and mind blowing.
I would say if you don't win this, it's because nobody likes the Penguin. It was so dark. It was so. I think people are just going to be like, "Oh my God, I don't believe I felt that way."
Yeah.
That they took me there. They made me believe for a second that he was a good person.
Yeah.
And nope, he's the guy. He's the devil we always knew.
The devil we always knew he was.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so
Congrats,
much.
man.
Thank you.
so
I
much.
appreciate it.
I